Welcome to TaNaCh Talk. I'm your host, William Hall, broadcasting live from Kingsland, Texas, USA, with another episode of what used to be TNT, now Judaism and Christianity, a contrast, with our wonderful rabbi from the Big H, Houston, Texas, Rabbi Stuart, the man. Federow.
Houston, Texas.
Welcome back, Rabbi. How are you this beautiful day?
Good to be good. Good to be back. Always is. Good to be on with you.
Good to be good. That reminds me of something I heard one time, and it's the opposite of what you just said. It's good to be good. Actually, the statement is it sucks to suck. So you got to kind of feel that vibe and understand where it comes from. So good deal. So tonight, a very important show. We want to make sure that this gets out there because it's been something I've heard tossed around for many years, and that is a lot of people think that Hanukkah is the Jewish version of Christmas, and a lot of that
I've heard it my whole life.
A lot of that comes from because of the way a lot of Hanukkah practices are done.
That's really the only reason.
Yeah, because they have a little Hanukkah bush. They have
presents. Whoa! Wait a minute.
You never heard that before?
I've heard that. I've even heard worse.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
William, I honestly hate to tell you this story because it's really disgusting, but I'm going to anyway.
Well, as long as I won't get flagged on YouTube for it.
No, you won't get flagged on YouTube, not by Christians. But okay. I grew up in Springfield, Missouri, the buckle on the Bible Belt, international headquarters of the Assemblies of God Church, 5 colleges, two of which were regular, normal, Southwest Missouri State College. Then it becomes Southwest Missouri State University. Now it's Missouri State University. But they also have 3 Bible college, Christian colleges, one of which is the college that Jerry Falwell got his bachelor's degree from.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah,
and one of them is the college, college for the Assemblies of God Church called Evangel. But the point is that there's an awful lot of pressure on the Jewish community to assimilate, not look different, not be different. So it becomes Hanukkah time, and one of the local stations decides that they're going to interview a member of the Jewish community. I don't know that I would say a prominent member, but when you're so few and far between, everybody becomes prominent. And they asked him about Hanukkah and what's it about and the history of it. And I kid you not, he talked about, Hanukkah Harry coming down the chimney.
Uh-huh. Wow.
My parents were livid. My parents were screaming bloody murder at the TV screen when he was saying these things, and called him up and said, how could you do such a thing? How could you misrepresent Judaism? How could you misrepresent the Jewish community? How could you do that? Mm-hmm. And he had no excuse. He had no real explanation. I got carried away, and whatever. And it was terrible. Mm-hmm. I mean, really terrible. And then nothing bothers me more, nothing irritates me more than people who have good intentions misrepresenting, teaching what is wrong about Jews, about right. Judaism, about Bible, about all this other, anything related, just drives me up a wall.
What you just said reminded me of a show that I saw, and it was an American show, and the host of it, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was the comedian Jeff Foxworthy, I think, or someone, and a respectable person who was a comedian. Not a tacky person. But anyway, they had, and I could be wrong on the host. It could be just someone else that was popular.
Could be anybody.
But the point was they had the question was, the whole thing was, who knows their Bible better? Now, of course, the secular world thinks the Bible is Genesis to Revelation. So they had this one team were these pastors and the pastors' sons, and the other team, guess what? Not Orthodox rabbi, but like rabbis, like whatever. Mm-hmm. And so, but not Messianic, just totally
real
TaNaCh only. And they proceeded to ask questions strictly regarding the New Testament, and these rabbis knew nothing about it, and it made them look like asses. Like you can't trust Jewish people because they don't even know their own Bible. That was the whole thing that came across that thing. I was so ticked when I seen that. I was like, man, it's the most disgusting thing. Anyway, I hate it when things are misrepresented.
You know, every time I say this, I get myself in trouble later on. Mm-hmm. They should be very happy I wasn't one of the people on that contest. Mm-hmm. Because I would have interrupted everything. I would have started speaking to them in Hebrew. Mm-hmm. I would have said, you think you know the Bible and you can't even speak Hebrew? You don't even know the Hebrew language in which it was written?
Right, right.
I mean, I'm so sick and tired of the Jewish community always being on the defensive.
Yeah.
You know, because Christian privilege, Christians put the Jews on the defensive. It's not, I should explain to you why I believe. Yeah. It's that you have to explain to me why you don't believe. And that's not right. There's something radically wrong with that. That's not how the world works.
Right.
Somebody believes something, they have to be the one to explain why they believe it. Oh, no. And I'm tired of the Jews always allowing themselves to be on the defensive. Why don't you believe Isaiah 7:14? Why don't you believe, no. That's that, it should be a dialogue. And if it's a true dialogue, they not only get to ask us questions, that's legitimate, and that puts us on the defensive, and that's fine. But we have to be able to ask them questions that put them on the defensive. Okay, how can you believe this? Jesus was God if Numbers 23:19 explicitly says, if God were a man, he'd be a liar. Mm-hmm. So you say Jesus was God, Jesus was a man, Jesus was a man and God, so you're saying he's a liar. Mm-hmm. And let them backpedal and defend themselves. And Jews won't do that. They're so busy being on the defensive, they never take the offensive. Okay. And what do they say about the best defense is a good offense? Mm-hmm. The whole problem, start over, that's not true. Much of the problem between why people call the Hanukkah the Jewish Christmas, okay, is because they come at the same time of the year. But isn't it interesting? It always has to be December 25th. I forgot the number. 3 or 4, or it's either 3 or 4 days after the winter solstice. It is clearly tied to the winter solstice. One way or the other, it's tied to the winter solstice. It can only be the 25th of December, and the winter solstice is December 21st, December 22nd. I think it's the 21st, whatever it is. Okay, they say, oh, well, Hanukkah, the Feast of Lights, is also, has to do with the winter solstice and the darkening of the season, except that Hanukkah can be as early as the very end of November, which I think just last year, 2021, it was like the end of November. Well, if it can vary through the season, okay, through the November-December month, okay, when it hits, it's not at all tied to the winter solstice. It had nothing to do with the winter solstice. Okay, but they come at the same time of year. So Christians, with their Christian privilege, with their bigger numbers of people and their bigger number of institutions, and the fact that Christmas is a national holiday, okay, if it comes at the same time as their Christian holiday, they automatically assume, well, this must be the Jewish version of their Christmas. Mm-hmm. Okay. The other issue, which I am ashamed to admit, is the Jewish community doesn't help things when they assimilate Christian activities, okay, truly Christian activities, okay, with the celebration of Hanukkah. William, there's something that drives me up a wall. Okay, I mean up a wall.
A ladder?
Well, up a ladder. Up a ladder. And I hear it from everybody. The Jewish community that doesn't know any better about Judaism, or maybe they know better, but it doesn't affect them. But if they don't know any better, they don't know what Judaism really believes, they don't know what Judaism really is all about. I'm talking about members of the Jewish community. And they'll say, I'll be nice, they'll say silly things, okay, that are simply wrong. For example, And this I can't begin to tell you how it makes me angry to hear. But I've heard Jews say, well, Hanukkah is not really that important a holiday. It's considered a minor holiday. What? What are they talking about? Yes, there's a designation in Jewish tradition of a major holiday and a minor holiday. But the designation of major or minor has nothing to do with importance. It has to do with the number of halakha, the number of mitzvot, the number of Jewish laws in relationship to the holiday. So, for example, obviously, Passover, with keeping kosher for Passover, with following the dictates of God not to have leavening in your home. There's a lot of laws about food, about dishes, about serving, about storage, about everything that goes into cooking, ovens. Okay, there's an awful lot of individual laws. And so clearly, when you understand that major holiday, minor holiday is a designation of number, quantity of laws relating to the holiday, Passover becomes a major holiday. So what are the laws about Hanukkah? The laws about Hanukkah have to do with the Chanukah. What is it supposed to look like? How do you light them? Put them in right to left, light them left to right. Okay. Do we light in increasing light or decreasing light? Do we start out with all 8 on the first night, and then on the last night there's only 1 candle? Or, the Hillel versus Shammai argument, and Hillel won out. The way we do it is according to Hillel. First night is 1, second night is 2. We increase light in the world. Okay, which is a lesson to all of us. So we're supposed to increase light in the world, but the point is that there are just not that many laws related to Hanukkah, so it's called a minor holiday. But could you imagine what would happen to the world if the Maccabees didn't rebel? We would all be Greek Orthodox. And some people will wrongly say, oh, well, if Judaism, fell out of existence under the Maccabees, then Christianity wouldn't have developed. Well, that's not true. Why? Because Christianity didn't come from Judaism. Christianity didn't come from the Bible. Christianity didn't come from the Hebrew Scriptures or the Jewish people. Oh, but Rabbi, the first Christians were Jews. Well, yeah, thanks a lot. The first protesting Protestants, okay, were also Catholic. So Catholicism. So Martin Luther was an ordained Roman Catholic priest. Does that mean Lutheranism is really Catholicism? The Moonies, the Unification Church, was founded by the Reverend Sun Myung Moon, who was a Presbyterian. I think he was an ordained Presbyterian minister, but he may not have been an ordained minister. But he was a Presbyterian. I don't think the Presbyterians think that just because Moon was a Presbyterian, that the Moonies, the Unification Church, is a Presbyterian religion. So it doesn't matter the background of these people. The point is that, there were all sorts of dying, saving man gods in 2,000 years ago in the Greco-Roman world, and it would have developed and taken over the world just like Christianity did, because Christianity did. But if it hadn't been for the Maccabees rebelling, Judaism would have assimilated off the planet. You wouldn't have had Judaism around. You wouldn't have had Christianity in its present form. So to say that it's a minor holiday misses the point that major minor in that context has to do with how many laws there were relating to the holiday. So it doesn't help the Jewish community and the idea that Judaism, that Hanukkah isn't the Jewish Christmas, when Jews themselves start doing Christmassy stuff. Okay, look, a lot of people are going to say, oh yeah, like lawn ornaments that are Jewish. No, that's not one I would include. Why? Because the first holiday that I know of where the holiday's observance required the people observing that holiday is to put an external to the house indication of the religion of the people inside. And I'm not just talking the mezuzah. Okay. But I'm talking about, what are we supposed to do with the Chanukah, the Hanukkah menorah? What are we supposed to do with the Chanukah after we've lit it? We put it in the front window. We put it at the front door outside. If you're facing the door, okay, the side that the mezuzah is on is as you're going into the house to the right. So the Chanukah is put to the lower left. That's the first out of the house religious designation that I know of. I'm not an anthropologist or whatever. That I know of. It's the first in the world. And so, you could make a case for putting stuff on your lawn that indicates the people inside are celebrating Hanukkah. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Hanukkah Harry stuff.
Right.
The Hanukkah bush that doesn't exist in anything Jewish. That's purely assimilationist.
To be fair, the Hanukkah bush, from what I was influenced about it, had to do with the burning bush of Moses. So there is a concept. It just wasn't blue.
Except that Passover is not our holiday.
Yeah, I know.
That's an excuse that Jews give
Passover
to enable them to have it and feel good about having it, when what they're doing is just simply trying to.
Okay, so what? Okay,
wait a minute. Wait. What's the line? There's a book. I can't remember the. Ma Yomru HaGoyim. What will the nations say? We got to stop worrying about what the Christians think of us. But there's a biblical concept about imitating, doing like the pagans do. Obviously, the biblical periods before Christianity came into existence, but the idea is you don't imitate the pagan practices.
So my question for you, you said something. You said as far as the burning bush of Moses, and you said that was associated with Passover.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I may just be tired. It's been a long day. I didn't, at least to my current recollection, I didn't know anything about the red. Could you explain that a little bit?
Well, you've got Moses, which is Passover, not Hanukkah. You've got him coming before the burning bush, which is God's manifestation in front of him.
At Passover?
Yes, it's the whole Exodus story.
Okay.
Passover's about Exodus.
Oh, okay. So
boy, William, you really are tired.
Yeah.
I know how you feel.
Or I might be ignorant too. I don't know. I just made this. Maybe one. This may be an area I have not actually explored yet.
No, you're not ignorant. That's ridiculous.
Okay. Well, you're
just not thinking. But okay. But so Jews who want to assimilate and pretend that they're like the Christians will put a Christmas tree in their house, but they'll call it a Hanukkah bush. Tree, bush, Hanukkah, Christmas. They'll call it a Hanukkah bush to, in their mind, rationalize and legitimize having a Christmas tree. Okay, it's disgusting to me and always has been. Look, I understand the world we live in. And if a couple is interfaith married, then out of respect for the non-Jewish partner, to help him celebrate his religion,
right,
they may have a Christmas tree, but call it a Christmas tree. It's not a Hanukkah bush. There's no such thing as a Hanukkah bush. That's just a bold-faced lie Jews tell themselves to rationalize in their head having a Christmas tree. But to help the non-Jewish partner celebrate his holiday, okay, I can understand it. I don't like it, I can understand it. Okay, it's the world we live in, like it or not. Okay, but you know how often trees in the ancient world were worshipped by the pagan community? Literally worshipped, like you bow down to a tree.
Right.
Okay. Ashtaroth. And what was the I can't think of it. That's the pagan goddess represented by a tree, and I can't think of the name of the tree. But anyway, so yeah. At any rate, the point I'm making is that there are things that Jews do, okay, that help the Christians believe that that Chanukah is the Jewish Christmas. So we don't help ourselves by pretending, okay, that what we're doing is okay in Judaism, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but that's where it comes from.
That's cool.
The Jews themselves hurting themselves by assimilating this stuff. And look, I am the William. There's an area of Houston suburbia that requires in its homeowners association rules and regulations, if you buy a house in that area, you have to decorate for Christmas.
Are you serious? What the
I'm
heck?
absolutely serious.
That's,
okay.
Wow.
And I got to tell you something. In the dark of night, to go into an area of town that's lit up, pardon the pun, like a Christmas tree, okay, it can be beautiful. I can understand that.
Right.
But if you're going to have to, and your family is Jewish, they're not putting up red and green. They're putting up blue and white. They're putting up decorations. Yeah, but it's to celebrate our holiday. I can understand that very easily. I have no problem with that. Okay. But
yeah.
But there's a limit. There are limits and standards. And sometimes the Jewish community doesn't help itself by stepping over the line in those standards, and it helps the Christians believe, oh, well, Christmas, that's, the Hanukkah is the Jewish Christmas kind of thing. We don't help ourselves when we do that.
But if you think about it, this is exactly why Judaism, on so many branches, has fallen away from orthodoxy, is because they started compromising a little bit, and then a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more.
Yes.
And before you know it, there's a whole new, completely different path they're on. Not totally different, but a lot different. You know what I mean?
Well, I would call it parallel, but whatever.
Yeah. So, okay. So, somebody asked me if we could open up the phone lines, and my answer to that
why not?
was absolutely. Give me just a moment here. Yes, sir. Okay, guys, the phone lines are officially open. Feel free to call in 855-952-4253. I'll put that number on your screen right now. There you go. I'm looking for Rev Robbins. He was the first one asking, so he's probably got something juicy to ask. So, listen. So, starting next week, we're literally going to. Oh no, I think Chris took it back. I had your book right here on the desk. She loves your book.
How's that?
Yeah, open it up to the index or glossary, whatever. Let me, if you don't mind.
You mean this?
Yep, and just hold it a little bit closer and just hold it steady. All right, that's perfect right there. Monotheism and the Trinity, God is not a man. The Satan versus the devil. Man, this is some good stuff. Yeah, we're literally going to start on page 1 chapter per night, and have a discussion about it. So you guys are not going to want to miss this next series. Tell your friends about it, no doubt.
Page 2.
Yep, very good.
Can you even see that?
I can.
Can't see
Yes,
it.
it's crystal clear. Yep, very good, very good. All right. Okay, looks like our friend, not my friend, our friend Rev Robbins is here. Rev Robbins. He said, "I'm keeping the rev. I worked hard for it. I'm not letting it go." What's up, brother?
Can I just do one thing?
Yeah, yeah.
And I hope he'll pardon me. Rev Robbins.
Oh my gosh. Yum.
Yum.
Rev Rob.
Red
Rob. No, that was actually that was appropriate and timely as well.
It wasn't. It was terribly inappropriate.
No, because Red Robin is no association, and that's what it was about. That was totally appropriate.
It was funny, but it wasn't appropriate.
Okay, so quick shout out, Constellation Pegasus. Thank you. She said, I'm looking forward to going through your book.
Oh,
and then also there was one more. Where'd it go? Let's see where'd it go. Wally Cleaver. $3 donation. Thank you. Thomas Harris, welcome to the chat shop. He just joined. He just joined the YouTube channel. Yeah, a lot of you don't know you can actually join the YouTube channel, or you can just subscribe. It's your call.
Okay.
If you join, there are benefits to it. We're working on the details of that soon. So don't get disheartened. Rabbi?
A few people are asking, who is Hanukkah Harry? Hanukkah Harry is to Santa Claus what a Hanukkah bush is to a Christmas tree. It's a made-up story about a guy who comes down the chimney. Sound familiar? Mm-hmm. To rationalize Jews doing basically the same kind of stuff as Christians do with Santa Claus.
Let me ask you a question. Did this Harry carry a 44 Magnum Automag?
Yeah.
That dirty Harry. Okay, Rev Robbins. Oh my gosh, Mr. Robbins, welcome back, brother. Tell us your question.
Hey, Hey guys, it's the Rev Robbins over here in North Carolina. If you didn't know already,
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Rabbi, happy Hanukkah or happy. Is it Hanukkah or Chanukah? I've heard it said
It-
both
It's
ways.
not Chanukah.
It's never ch at
It's
all.
never ch. There's no
It's-
ch sound in the Hebrew language. It's Chanukah.
Okay.
So if you can't say
I'm
Hanukkah,
sorry.
you just say pronounce it with an H, not a K.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
actually
yeah, that's the
yeah.
that's the Alabama accent. So
I've heard
there
people
wasn't
say
too much.
No, if they're saying Chanukah, they don't know Hebrew, they don't know Judaism, they don't know the Jewish holiday.
there you go.
Although I will tell you,
there's
Rev Robbins, I will tell you that when I'm joking around, okay, when I'm making fun of people, I will say Chanukah, but Chappy Chanukah. Okay, instead of Happy Hanukkah, I will joke around, but I'm clearly joking around when I say that.
and
But
you can,
nobody,
Yeah.
no, it's right. Okay, so go ahead.
It's like
No,
I'm
yeah,
so
absolutely.
happy to be here. Okay, go ahead.
so I guess so what I wanted to ask you was what so I'm trying I'm trying to do I'm trying to be a good follower of God now. It's difficult. It's a difficult process every day, but I'm trying not to go back to the old habits. But the question I wanted to ask you is my wife is she's not a militant atheist, but she had really, really bad experiences at church,
Yep.
and I don't want to go into them, but you can imagine they're inappropriate. But what should I do, and how should I approach it? Like, I don't want to use the word get my house, like where I'm not unevenly yoked, but
Yep, I
like
understand what you're saying.
what's the best way to do?
Let me,
Rabbi, can I just make a quick comment before you take it away?
please do.
Because I promise you, it's not going to be about the same. It's not going to have the same content at all. So my wife worked in Chicago she lived in Chicago for many years, and her boss was a little Jewish man, and he was very observant. What class he was is not important. He was just a very observant Jewish man, and his wife of like 47 years was Catholic. 47 years. They lived happily married for 47 years, and it never affected his Judaism, and he never affected her Catholicism. That's just a little trivial thing that just popped up to my brain. And so, point is, it's possible to coexist. I'm not sure if it's the right thing to do or not, but this is where Rabbi comes in.
Well, okay, let me give you a few answers. Maybe, hopefully, one of them will be useful.
Hey, Rev, let's go and let you hang up. Tune in for your answer. That way we can
Yeah.
open the phone lines, okay? Thank you, brother.
All right.
See you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Happy Hanukkah to you, Rabbi.
Happy
Thanks so
Hanukkah.
much.
Thank you. You too.
Happy Hanukkah.
Yes, sir. All right.
All right. Okay, let me answer this. Let me answer. There's a few answers I want to give, make clear. Okay. Like William gave the example, the Jewish community tends to say, oh, all interfaith marriages are doomed to failure and all this other stuff. And it's not true. And William gave you a perfect example. So even if she's an atheist, which she is not an atheist. Right now, because of the actions of people who claim to believe in God, claim to be good Christian, she's angry at God. She is angry at God. She's mad at God for allowing this to happen, whatever happened, for allowing people like that to be hypocrites. Okay? This is actually, real quickly, this is really directly related to the Ten Commandments. Okay, when the Ten Commandments says, usually mistranslated as, you will not take the name of the Eternal, your God, in vain, for God will not hold guiltless someone who takes the Eternal's name in vain. Okay, that's not a great translation. The literal translation is, you will not lift up the name of God in vain. For anyone who lifts up the name of God in vain, I just said it. What's it talking about? What does it mean to lift up the name of God? To lift up the name of God means to pretend, to show off that you are pious, that you are a religious person. you may have heard me say this before. It's comparable to a, using her example, as a good Christian with a big cross on their, around their necks, this big, robbing a bank. Pretending, showing themselves off to be religious, but what their actions do is the verse in Ten Commandments is against hypocrisy. That's what that's about. And God can't allow hypocrisy to maintain itself because it makes God look like a liar. It makes religion look like a liar. And your wife's not an atheist. She is angry right now. In my personal opinion, never talked to her, don't know what the story is, whatever. But I believe that she does believe in God. She's just still angry at God for what happened, for which I may not blame her. Okay. And the fact that she's angry indicates that she does in fact believe in God. She's just angry at God. Okay. Well, so was Job. At any rate, your question, I think, is best answered in the following way. And I wish you were standing right next to me so I could show this to you. But if I hand you my book and you take a hold of my book, and I don't tell you to let go, but you've taken a hold of my book like I asked you to, and then I start pulling my way, you're automatically going to start pulling your way. People cannot be pulled. They cannot be pushed. They have to be led. You have to lead her back to God. You have to lead her back to not being angry. You have to let her express her anger at God. And part of her expressions of her atheism is really an anger at God, in my opinion. Like I said, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Never met her, don't know the circumstances. But in other cases, and I know people like this, who eventually converted to Judaism, they were screaming memes at God. And I understand that. But you have to lead her back. You cannot push her back. You cannot force her back. You have to lead her back. So what does it involve to be leading? You have to show her outwardly, openly, proudly, that what you are doing, whatever you are doing, religiously, whether it's Noahide or Judaism, whatever it is, that you enjoy it, that you get something out of it, that it is meaningful to you to do it. And eventually she will say, he really enjoys this. Maybe I want what he's getting. And I think over time, because how long does it take a physical wound to heal? Well, how long does it take a spiritual wound to heal? How long does it take to have a mental wound? Not just physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual wounds take longer to heal than the physical. So you have to show her you enjoy whatever it is you are doing religiously to help her come back to a religious frame of mind. She still has it. She still has a religious frame of mind, but right now she's angry, and you have to let her get that anger out of her, but lead her to a different way. I can't remember. I should have.
That's okay. No,
I should have immediately written. There's another thing I wanted to.
So just to add another spin to that, and in case she is one of the others who doesn't hate God or isn't angry at God and just simply chooses to be selfish, because most people that I've met so far, some of them have been angry at God, some of them have been just selfishly not wanting to submit to anything. Either way, you still have to take the same approach that Rabbi said. You got to show them the benefits of it. You can't force, you can't push, you just got to lead the way. Yep. So, and that's the secret. That's the secret, no matter what their case is. So, yeah. All right, Rabbi, I just lost your video feed.
What?
I just lost your video feed.
This happened before.
Yeah, just if it's a USB camera, just unplug it.
No,
and plug it
it's got to be on my end. Wait. Let me check.
It's back on now. You might have. You're good. You might have bumped your leg into the wire that plugs into your computer. Or something.
Well, that's obviously true.
Yeah, so there's that. So the phone lines are open, guys, if you want to call in with your questions, 855-952-4253. So there you go. And let's see. I saw a question earlier. I'm going to see if I can go back to it. Try to answer them as they come along.
I didn't even look yet. Wait a minute.
Okay, here we go. Check this out. 7:24 p.m.
7.
Blue Thunder 86.
7.
Look for Constellation Pegasus, where they donated $9.99. It's the one right above Crystal Chains.
Oh, yeah, cool. Thank you.
So what's up with the New Testaments? It's right above the Constellation Pegasus donation of $9.99. Looking forward to go through your book. Okay, it says
the New Testament's supposed to be claiming that Jesus went to the temple where they were practicing or celebrating the Feast of Lights somehow that was connected to Hanukkah. Well, actually, Blue Thunder 86, it wasn't connected to Hanukkah. It was Hanukkah. It's the Gospel of John. Let me find it. I think it's chapter 10. Give me a second. Let me.
Sure, take it down. You're quick on the draw. Your memory of the New Testament is way better than you give yourself credit for. Because I had no idea.
I'm okay with the Gospels. I'm terrible with the epistles.
Gotcha.
I mean, really bad. I totally jealous of Tovia. I mean, he's got a steel trap brain. I mean, it's amazing to me. Let's see. Oh wait, I said John had hit Matthew. Okay.
And while you're doing that, I'm just going to kind of keep scrolling for questions.
Yeah, here it is. It's John chapter 10, verse 22.
Hold on one second. I'm going to pull that up.
John chapter 10, verse 22.
Where's my screen capture? There it is right there. John 10:22. Okay, give me 1 second.
That's fine.
All right, let's use Gateway because it's not going to be on Chabad.
I'm only okay with the Gospels.
That's
and frankly, as you've seen way too often, William, my memory's not that great.
Hey, that's all right, though. All right, John 10:22.
Yep, John chapter 10, verse 22.
It's up on screen now. Okay, so John 10:22. And it was at Jerusalem the feast of the dedication, and it was winter.
And Jesus walked in the Temple of Solomon's porch. Okay, remember something. The word Hanukkah is the feast of the dedication. What are they dedicating? Yeah. They're dedicating the temple back to the one true God, the only place of worship on planet Earth to the one true God. But Hanukkah means lachnoch, okay, which by the way is interesting that it's also derived. It's also one of the words for education, by the way. Sar HaChinuch is Department of Education is what's it called of education, but at any rate, dedication, okay, is Hanukkah. So feast of the dedication in John chapter 10 verse 22. It was Hanukkah. It was winter in Jerusalem, and Jesus was walking in the Temple of Solomon's porch, in the temple at Solomon's whatever. So it's actually specifically stated, Blue Thunder 86, that Jesus was at the temple by the time the Gospel of John was written. Christian scholars will put it around the year 9500, somewhere around there, give or take. So that by the time the Gospel of John was written, the celebration of Hanukkah was already embedded in Judaism. Or else there's no reason to mention it. Right. Okay. It's called the Feast of Light, but the word Chanukah means dedication. Feast of dedication is the holiday of Hanukkah. So that's why they're doing that.
All right, very good. So let's go with more questions. Let's see. Don't see anything right off the top.
Let's see.
Since we're kind of on this holiday thing. Hold on. Okay, so since we're on this holiday theme, if you don't mind, let's just cross a few points of other holidays that Christians and Messianics try to put Jesus in that he shouldn't be in. And just take your pick. Take your pick to start with.
Every Jewish holiday.
Yeah.
Right. There are books that Messianics and other missionaries, because Messianics, don't kid yourself,
right,
are also missionaries.
Okay, real quick, caller, don't hang up. This is, I believe this is Judy. She's a Christian follower. She likes watching the show. She's learning a lot. She's informing us of her beliefs and stuff. So, if you want to take a few more minutes, finish that.
Well, no, just real quick.
Yes.
There are books upon books upon books by the Messianic and other Christian missionaries, taking every single Jewish holiday, every single Jewish holy day, every single Jewish ritual, and Christianizing them and showing them how that's really about Jesus, but you Jews are too stupid to realize it. You have a veil over your mind that prevents you from seeing Jesus in the pages of your own scriptures and in the holidays that you celebrate.
Okay.
You know,
right.
Like Passover is the classic example. I'm sure we'll get to that, you know, at Passover time.
Okay, very good.
Yep.
Okay. So let me do this real fast. Hang on one second. Sorry, I had to respond to something real fast. Okay. So we're going to take this caller. Caller, you're live on the air. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is Judy, right?
Yes, hi.
Hi,
How
Judy.
are you? Happy Hanukkah.
Judy, welcome back.
All right, thank you. Merry Christmas.
And I apologize.
I'm not going to argue tonight.
I
but
apologize.
still
I
love
did say you were Christian. She's Messianic, not Christian. They're kind of the same thing, but they're not in their
No,
own.
they are the same thing.
In their own respect,
Well, no, I'm not Messianic. No, I'm not.
Really? So all the calls we've had with you and Rabbi Singer, you seem to be defending the idea of Yeshua.
I love the show. I really do. Even though we disagree, I love the show.
Sure.
And I just have a comment that's not controversial.
Go for it.
But I don't understand from Jewish perspective or even Christian perspective. I figure you guys would know. What is the point of the red heifer?
Oh, that's a good
one.
one.
Talked about it before.
That's a great one.
But I really don't understand. Like, there hasn't been. I know it's because the temple is not, rebuilt yet. I understand that's why sacrifices were stopped. But why now would that be reinstituted after all this time? What is your explanation, and I'll hang up, of how you perceive the red heifer thing?
Okay.
And is it really true that they have found a perfect red heifer?
Okay, we'll go and take your question. Thank you for calling in.
You're welcome.
You
Thank
bet.
you.
Bye-bye. Okay, cool.
It's Numbers chapter 19.
So don't understand. This is interesting because a lot of people I've talked to in the past, they say, I don't understand. That's kind of the point. I mean, there's different types of this. There's different types of mitzvahs. There's hukim. I think the chokes are the one that are not understandable, right? It's like you do it without.
Well, Maimonides argued that every single Jewish law has an explanation.
Okay, so I will tell you this: there is a secular understanding. I would say it's not secular; it's Christian understanding of why. But they overlook the part about it having to be red and having to be flawless. They just think it's just the ashes of a cow, period. Any ashes of a cow, and whatever mixtures they do makes.
And how do they Christianize
it? Makes because it says they make lye soap, and lye soap is actually what can really wash away things that are just harder to get rid of. So that's their way of making it more tangible for them. Now, granted, they delete or ignore the other parts of the law about it having to be a red heifer and has to be a perfect without even a single broken hair, not just a different color, but even a broken hair. Never had a yoke on its back. They can't explain that part. But anyway, so go ahead. I'm going to turn this over to you.
Well, it's Numbers chapter 19. You want to pull that up?
I certainly can. Let me go to. I know you don't like Chabad greatly, but I like it better than King James. So let me go to.
This is not controversial. This will be, like she said, she was right.
Oh, I'm on the wrong book. Hold on.
Pretty clear.
Oh, shoot. Hold on. Let's have another Numbers. All right. We got another new caller, too. But, okay. So, caller, don't hang up. Just sit tight. We'll be with you shortly. So, calling from 6763. Don't hang up. Give us a few minutes and we'll be right with you. Okay. So, just hang tight. Okay. Number is 2319.
No. Numbers chapter 19.
Oh, 19. I knew there was a 19 there somewhere.
Boy, are you tired.
Man, it has been a long, not just day. It's been a super long week. Yeah. Man. And it's really wild. And a lot of people don't understand this, but I mean, even just in the studio alone, because one day a week I clean the studio, and it literally takes me almost all day just to clean and dust. And it's like, so today was actually cleaning day. And so it's like, I'm like, I want to go inside and chill. Okay. Anyway, so Numbers 19, what verse? 5, maybe?
Well, we're going to
No.
backtrack, but let's start with verse 17.
Okay, 17. Let's go there. Let me pull that up and I'll put it on your screen for you. I'll have to adjust the screen a little bit.
But we'll back up. I'm telling you now, we will back up to the beginning of the chapter.
Okay. All right, Rabbi, it's all you.
Okay,
Take it away.
fine. So if you take a look at Numbers 19, verse 17, it reads, and for an unclean person, they shall take of the ashes of the burnt heifer a purification for sin, and running water shall be put thereto in a vessel, and a clean person shall take the hyssop and dip it into that water, and sprinkle it upon the tent, upon the vessels, upon the persons who were there, and upon him that touched the bone of the bone, or one slain, or one dead, or a grave. And the clean person shall sprinkle upon the unclean on the third day, and on the seventh day, and on the seventh day shall purify himself and wash his clothes. In other words, they need the ashes of the burnt up red heifer to be able to purify a person, to be able to do stuff, to do things in the temple. That's what this is talking about. So if a person is walking, a Kohen, a priest is walking along and all of a sudden sees something in the bushes and goes to investigate it, and all of a sudden he's right next to a dead body, he cannot perform his priestly functions in the temple.
Right.
Because now he's considered unclean, which is a very bad translation.
So
Okay.
I had
By the
a
way,
thought.
Go ahead.
I had a thought that kind of helped me to kind of grasp this whole concept of why not just wash with soap and water. So then
Yeah,
this
see,
is I know that's my point. So what I was thinking of, because I used to be in construction for many years, and part of the construction I did was painting. And one time we had this kid, these two kids, they were two teenagers that my boss, I was like 22 years old at the time, and he hired these two 16, 17-year-olds to paint the garage, which was like it was like a story and a half, almost 2 stories with a gable roof, and they were right on top of the concrete driveway. And so they were. I was there. I saw the whole thing happen. It was really wild. So they're both wearing shorts, no shirts. It's hot in the summer. Not even a hat. They were just wearing their long, bushy skaterboard hair. And they went up there, and they were climbing up the ladder, and they were goofing off. And the one kid underneath was like messing with him. And so he was on the ground. And when he got up to like the third or fourth step, he jumped off to try to jump over him, but he had the bucket of paint in his hand. It was oil-based paint. Whenever he jumped off the ladder, that oil-based paint can tipped upside down. It was half full, spilled oil-based paint all over this dude and himself and all over the driveway. Okay, so imagine if they wanted to go into the house and use the bathroom, and they said, you know what, that's okay, give me a minute, I'll just hose off with a water hose.
Not with the oil.
It ain't going to do it. Right. Now, and I understand we're talking about spiritual matters here, but there is a difference of purity levels even in our tangible world. Some things, it's like, this is another trivial thing for you, but for example, we used to paint like inside refinished cabinets on the inside, and whenever you go to paint oil-based or latex over cabinets inside of a kitchen where there's oil stains from just years of usage, and you paint over it, the paint will beat up, and the only way to fix it is you don't scrub it with soap and water. You have to actually use vinegar. So there's so many different rules with cleaning. So for me, that helped me to wrap my head around, okay, so spiritually there's different processes for it. I get it now. That makes sense.
Right.
So that's kind of my point. Okay, Rabbi, go ahead and continue on.
And that is the answer to her question.
Okay.
This is the process of purification. Look, I hate this concept of unclean. Somebody is unclean. What is unclean? That means soap and water, lye soap should take away their sin. I mean, it doesn't even make sense. Okay, and I know this is going to strike you as funny, and I know laugh at me, and that's fine. But I think the best translation is the word yucky. Gross.
I'm good with that. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
It's not unclean and clean. It's gross. You're near a dead body. Get away from me.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever made the body dead might make you get on your hands, and you're going to bring me dead.
Yep.
Okay, it's gross. It's yucky. That's what it really is talking about. So to take away the characteristic of being gross or yucky,
Schmutzy.
you have.
Hey, Valerie, that was funny.
You have to have the ashes of a red heifer, and that's what it's talking about in Numbers 19. To create the ashes, you have to have the red heifer. Then you slaughter it, kosher, burn it, take the ashes, mix it with the stuff that we just read. Well, we didn't read, but it's in the same chapter. Okay, and prepare the liquid that makes a person clean, that makes them no longer yucky or gross. And a lot of these rituals have to do with setting a line okay, to mark a line, set a line of demarcation. Okay, before the ritual, you're gross and disgusting, but after the ritual, you're no longer gross and disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
it doesn't mean you were impure or unclean. 2 seconds before it. This sets a line that says, look, from this point on, you're okay. Before it, you're not. Even if you'd have washed your entire body head to toe, even if you'd washed yourself with lye soap head to toe, it's not the point.
Yep.
The point is until you get that line of demarcation to say, okay, from this point on, you're okay. So if you take a look at Numbers chapter 19, verse 1 and following, okay, you'll see where it talks about this red heifer without spot. Okay, and that's as a matter of fact, I want to take a look at the
it's there now.
Okay, I want to take a look at the Torah. Hu elecha para adama tamima asher ein ba mum asher lo. Okay. Oh, okay. So, let's go back because it's easier. Okay. So, and the Lord spoke to Moses and to Aaron and said, "This is the law. This is the ordinance of the law, which the Eternal has commanded, saying, Speak to the children of Israel that they bring you a red heifer without spot, wherein is no blemish, and upon whom no one has had a yoke." Okay. So in order to create this material that is used in the ritual to show that from that point on the person is pure, no longer yucky, or however you want to translate that, you have to start out with a heifer that is red, that has no spot or a blemish, and has never been used to work. And that's the problem. Because we're dealing with genetics here on a very small level. When it says red heifer, they take this as literally as you can, and they need to have a heifer, a baby cattle.
So not small, but micro.
We're talking about if one hair on the eyelash is still black, then there's a genetic flaw that creates black hair instead of red hair, and that heifer cannot be used.
And what if there is a broken hair on this heifer?
It's not the hair that would be broken. It's not when it says without spot or without blemish.
No. The point is that where there's never even been a harness or a yoke put on this thing, and so the whole idea is
that just means you haven't made it work for a living. You haven't connected it up.
That's the point, though. But there's like a midrash story about somebody who had like the perfect golden heifer or the perfect red heifer, and so the story goes that he found out that how valuable it was to them. He put on this. They said, "Well, how much do you want for it?" They looked at it as great, and he's like, "Well," he knew how important it was and how rare it was, and so he jacked up this crazy price. And they said, "Well, we'll come back to you. We definitely want it, but we need time to gather this kind of money." So while he was gone, he thought it would be funny because he knew the rules. He thought it'd be kind of like play a practical joke on them that it says, because the thing is they should wear on an animal that a yoke has never been placed. So he thought it'd be kind of funny to throw a yoke on this thing, and just for the purpose of doing it, just to kind of mock Judaism.
Yep.
And then it turned out that when they came back, they had the money. They came back and they re-inspected this heifer, and they found out they saw the broken hairs from the yoke, and they said, "I'm sorry, we're done." And this guy was so depressed that he apparently committed suicide because he made such it's midrash. But still, the point still lies, though. This point still lies.
Right.
It's got to be perfect on numerous levels. That's the thing.
Well, it's not so funny because I've had people say, "Hey, Rabbi, what if I had put in a, little piece of lard when I when I gave you the cookie or something, And they think it's hysterically funny, and I don't think it's funny at all. It's mocking me and mocking my religion. There's no respect or whatever. They didn't do it.
Yeah.
But they'll say something about, oh, what if I'd have done that? I said, well, then it would have been your sin, not mine.
Exactly. Right.
You would have, I did it. I trusted you, and I ate it in good faith.
Yep.
So, but at any rate, to answer her question, that's what this whole thing is about, getting a red heifer, a heifer that is truly red. Because even if one hair is black, then there's genetics going on, creating that hair that's not red, and they have to keep, animal husbandry to make the black go away.
Good. Okay, so before we come back to Constellation Pegasus, who just donated another $10 with the question, we'll get to that. But we got a caller right now. Let's take the caller. Caller, you're live on the air. Please tell us your name. Where you're calling from.
Who, me?
Yes, you are live on the air. Thank you for being so patient with us.
Wonderful. My name is Kate.
Hi, Kate.
I'm
Hi,
calling
Kate.
from Albany, New York. Hello. I'm calling from Albany, New York. I've listened to your show a long time, but this is the first time I've ever called in. Now, Rabbi Singer often says a lot about Hebrew and about Hebrew being the first language in the universe, and God created the universe with Hebrew and so on. As the rabbi is doubtless aware, if you go to a college and you ask, the head of the linguistics department about Hebrew and how old it is and where it originated, they will tell you, that Hebrew is just one comparatively recent branch on a very old family tree that descended from other and older languages. And I'm wondering, what is the evidence for, the Torah view about, as the rabbi expresses it, versus the evidence for, what you would learn if you, went to college and became a linguistics major, which I was in college. In other words, how do we know who is right about Hebrew over and above, the Torah says that the Torah is right about Hebrew?
That's a great question.
I hope I'm making sense.
Absolutely
Totally.
great. Yep, we're going to hang up now and tune in for answer, okay? Thank you so much. Okay, Rabbi, if you don't mind, let me just drop what I'm thinking, because your thoughts are way deeper than mine, and so I can get them off.
Not
pretty
on
sure.
this.
So here's the thing. So most linguists that I've actually talked to, they're aware of that the Hebrew, the Masoretic text it's called Masoretic because it was handed down. It was a generation. It was like passed down. It wasn't so much scripturalized in the sense of making it formal and all this other stuff. It was a passed down language. Right. And so it wasn't until much later where it was actually started being documented and really pushed for teaching on paper, so to speak, kind of like the oral law was oral for many, many years until they finally started writing it down on paper or writing out on parchment, whatever the case may be. So just because it wasn't actually like a globally taught language doesn't mean it didn't exist prior to that. That's the point. Rabbi?
Well, a lot of people aren't going to be particularly happy with my answer here. All right. There's a midrash. What is midrash? Okay. A rabbi has a congregation, and the congregation, he's going to give a sermon on some topic of interest and maybe need that the congregation needs to hear. So he makes up a story or tells a story. He tells a story, okay, and he tells a story about how God spoke and the world came into existence. And the story he tells is midrash that helps explain a concept that he's trying to get his congregation to understand. The story is a story. It's not meant to be taken literally. And a verse in the Bible cannot vary from its literal understanding. Okay, you can have all the midrash you want and all the interpretations you want, but what counts really down to the brass tacks, down to earth, what counts is the simple, easy, pashat, literal, as is, no spin understanding of the verse. Okay. Well, okay, when God said, "Let there be light," did God say, "Let there be light"? No. the Bible explicitly says that God said Yehi Or. God spoke Hebrew.
Light be. Yeah.
Okay, let there be light. But he didn't say, let there be light. He said Yehi Or, because that's what the Bible says he said. See, he's speaking Hebrew. Well, the Bible's written in Hebrew. You wouldn't expect the Hebrew Bible, when God says let there be light, that the words he actually used were in Chinese. So because the Bible is written in Hebrew, because the words that God uses in order to bring the world into existence is Hebrew, because that's the way it's told to us by God, okay, then the Midrash is that the oldest, the initial language of creation is, in fact, Hebrew. But, you know, I mean, I'm not Rabbi Tovia Singer by even a stretch of the imagination. That's a funny thing. And you need to ask Rabbi Singer about this, not me. But I wouldn't be surprised if Tovia starts talking about Midrash, that this is based on a Midrash on the creation story, based on the fact that it says Yehi Or, which is Hebrew, so obviously God speaks Hebrew. Okay, that's my answer. Clearly, there are antecedents, you know, to the Hebrew language. It gets shoved down the Jews' throats all the time by good Christians who think they know better than Jews. Well, what about Proto-Hebrew? You know, it's actually, you don't write it like this, you write it like that. Well, you know, or they'll say that these are actually pictographs or hieroglyphics, that because an olive is actually a cow or something, it really means, you know, whatever, and they'll make up all these things for each word. When Hebrew, by the time Hebrew got written, Hebrew has never been I just used the word pictograph, and it's never been a hieroglyph.
Right.
It's phonetic. Each, no matter how you draw it, whether it's Proto-Hebrew or Modern Hebrew or the font, so to speak, that we get from Aramaic.
Yep.
Okay, it was never a hieroglyph or a pictograph. It's always a phoneme, an image to tell you what sound to make. So, at any rate, you know, that's I'm almost positive that's you're talking Midrash there, and I think Tovia would know that even Hebrew had antecedents to it as a language. But what he's talking about there is from rabbinic literature.
Right.
So.
Okay, so last question. Did ancient Israel, this is from Constellation Pegasus, donated another $10. So did ancient Israelites ever have herds of swine farmers raised for food? I will top that by saying that were ancient Israelites raising swine at all? I know that now that if anybody has kind of swine things going on, they have to raise them on above raised grounds, is what I've heard, because they don't want their hoofs touching the actual land. I don't know. I just heard that a while back. And so, but going back, I'm thinking of the story where Jesus destroyed this man's livelihood by sending these swine off the edge of a cliff into this water to drown.
Yeah, but he didn't even own.
Right, that wasn't even his. So as he not only stole, but he damaged somebody else's properties, and then he never paid them back. So this is a very sinful situation. But the question goes as follows: did ancient Israelites ever have herds of swine farmers?
And my answer is you might have had a fluke where somebody did, but by and large, I'm pretty sure that almost all archaeological digs and these kinds of things show that there were very few pig farmers, for lack of a better term, in ancient Israel. I mean, why grow it if nobody eats it? If the incredibly vast majority of people living in the land are Jews and they don't eat pig, there's no money in it. People go into a business for a reason. Okay, they have farms for a reason. If you grow something nobody's going to buy, why are you growing it? Same thing with animals. If nobody eats sheep, you're not going to grow sheep. You can't sell it. You got to make a living. You got to, provide for your family. So if I remember what I've read correctly, which I may not, but if I remember correctly, incredibly few, handful, all of Israel, any indication, grave sites or whatever of pig bone, for lack of a better term. So by and large, I don't think they did. Now, I will tell you that some of the best European shrimp is raised off the coast of Israel. So one of the exports of Israel, was shrimp. And that's just as non-kosher, just as treif as pig is. Still Leviticus 11, right there.
So Ray Oshima mentioned, I think it was Ray Oshima. I hope I'm good. Yeah, it says, by the way, pigs can swim. It says Amy Jill Levine. Okay, but the problem is, if you've ever been out to cliffy areas, usually the cliffs go on forever. It's like a slow taper off. Question is, how long can they swim before they drown? So the point is, it was still, even if it wasn't, he still stole the pigs because he commanded them to go right, and so these pigs belong to somebody. So anyway, long story short, there's that. I had another comment, and I don't remember what it was. So it had something to do with what I saw in chat here. Okay, well, that's going to pretty much, unless there's something.
Yeah, there is.
Okay, tell me. Go ahead and take it away.
Reisel, in a conversation about if a Jew converts to another religion or they're still a Jew, cites Sanhedrin 44a.
Hi, Reisel. Good to see you again. She's been a follower for a while. She's a nice lady.
Yeah, and I will tell you that Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, one of the great, what's the word? Posek. Deciders of Jewish law, said that you cannot apply Sanhedrin 44a. Once a Jew, always a Jew. Okay, a person who sins is still a Jew. You cannot apply that to someone who converts to another religion. That was done about Ahaz because he violated what he was told about keeping loot from a war, and he did it anyway. And he said, you cannot apply that because we're not talking about somebody who simply sins. You were talking about specifically a person who fully converts to another religion who is not considered a Jew. And that's what Moshe Feinstein explicitly said. So, it's not as simple as people want to make it out. Even if a Jew sins, he's still a Jew. And plenty of the rabbis of Chazal who decided Jewish law, also said that, if a Jew converts to another religion, they're not a Jew anymore. Plenty of them said that. So, if you give me a minute, please.
Sure, go ahead. By the way, while you have your minute, Judaism and Christianity: A Contrast, the new title of this show, is based on Rabbi's book. It is truly an amazing little stick of dynamite. If you want the full arsenal of some more information, of course, we've got in the video description area of this video and every other one previous to this one for a while now, you'll see a long list of resources with direct links to where to buy these books at. You'll find Rabbi Singer's books, which is a much more in-depth study, and also things like Leaving Jesus, which is the book that actually I cut my teeth on, by James Wood Jr. And you also find like Torahs and like Chumashim, things like that, study guides, Hebrew books, and things like that in the video description here. So check that out. Rabbi.
Okay, I'm almost finding it. Here we. Evan HaEzer, Volume 4, number 83. Evan HaEzer, Volume 4, number 83. Long response about a person who converted before his marriage to a Jewish woman. Later they separate. She flees to America, wants to marry without a get. And basically the rabbi says he's not a Jew. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to find it. Moshe Feinstein discusses the Sanhedrin in the Talmud. Rabbi Abba Bar Zabda did not say this as a concept of halakha b'na'agadah, so he rejects the idea that that once a Jew, always a Jew, that even if a Jew sins, applies to someone who converts to a completely other faith. Okay, let's see, and it was the Satmar Rav. Let's see, come on, Divrei Yoel on Yoreh Deah, number 59, paragraph 5. This is the Satmar Rav in his response to Divrei Yoel. Okay, and he says, a mumar to avodah zarah is likewise the apikorsim from the Jewish people. Even though he sins, he is called Israel, he's still a Jew. That is learned from the story of Achan, where the verse says Israel has sinned. Achan was not a heretic, but one who sinned. Therefore, we have no way of learning that an apikoros is a Jew, since we need the story of Achan to learn that normal sinners, even though they sinned, are called Israel. However, for the apikoros, this reasoning does not apply, and it's therefore not possible to call them a Jew.
So apikoros mean those who argue or who just
Who
like
convert out.
rebel rousers.
You also have Mumar. You had their number of names.
Right. Okay.
Mamre. Okay. So let's go over the list. Okay. And this, by the way, this is part of this. Some of this is on my website.
Ooh.
Most of what I'm about to quote is not, because I found out about it after I wrote the article. Our Margulis Hayom. The Talmud says, Rabbi Abu Bar Zabda said, even though he sins, he's called Israel, he's still a Jew. Here we are referring to a Jew who's only sinned. However, one who separates himself from the community and leaves, God forbid, the ranks of the living God, those who render decisions in halakha rule that their status is the same as a Gentile. Haram Baruch of Rottenburg, Maharam Rottenburg, number 928, who brings from Rabbeinu Gershom, revealed to me from heaven that a Meshumad, one who converts to another religion, does not inherit from his father. That means he's not a Jew anymore. Okay. Commentary to Mordechai in Kiddushin 492, Rav Tzadok Gaon and Rabbeinu Hananel also ruled the same way. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Look at the response of Rosh Dam, Evan HaEzer, 199, Maharit, Evan HaEzer, number 18, with regard to the Anusim, Maranos who forced to convert. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, and then it goes into the Satmar Rav, which I've already quoted. Okay, so it's just not as clear as people want to make it. Why do they want to make it clear? Oh, they're still a Jew, either because they have loved ones who've converted out and they don't want to admit they're not Jews anymore, or they themselves in their history, they converted out and they don't want to admit that for a time they were not considered part of the Jewish people. But halacha is not that clear as people will try to make it look, okay? Just so you'll know.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm thinking that's a good cutoff point, Rabbi.
Yeah, that's fine.
It is about that time. Good night.
How do we get on these conversations when it has nothing to do with what we're talking about?
Well, you know what's
Because
okay.
somebody comes here to stir things up.
Well, no, it's good.
I haven't even read it.
No,
I haven't read the comments.
I don't mind people asking random questions. I think it's a good learning spot.
Oh no, I think they should ask questions too, but we need to be careful about the answers. Sometimes it's not as clear as we'd like to believe it is.
By the way, earlier Crystal Cheney said oil-based paint does not come off. It will come off. There's several different things that if it's wet, paint thinner. Turpentine is a little bit hotter. You don't want to use turpentine unless it's like off on a piece of wood or something on your skin. Paint thinner, and then you want to clean up with a little lotion after you're done to kind of keep it from drying out. And then we used to use denatured alcohol if it's dry. If you're not sure what kind of paint, you weren't asking for this trivia, but if the paint is dry on your door and you don't know if it's latex or oil base, take a rag, denatured alcohol, scrub it. If paint comes off, there's your key right there. So anyway, a few little tricks here and there. And to get rid of paint smells, vanilla extract in water, boil it on the stove, eats it right up. Rabbi, thank you for your time, and thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you soon on the other side. Take care, everybody. Shalom.
Absolutely.
Shalom, shalom. Bye-bye.
Shalom, my dear friends. Hope this message finds you well. If you like the way this channel is going, and the channel has been a blessing to you, please consider supporting the channel by going to the website, TaNaChTalk.com, TaNaChTalk.com. Thank you once again for your time and for supporting TaNaCh Talk. Shalom.
השאיפה